Today we're going to talk about the fear that unfortunately guides so many pet owners' decisions.
So what if fear, not health, has actually been the driver of your pet healthcare decisions and you didn't even realize it? Today, we want to flip the script on that, and we want to bring about some awareness, some truth, and hopefully real healing for you and for your pet.
And that is pretty common. I think like we all started from a place of fear. It's one of those things like feel the fear and do it anyway. Mm-hmm. I certainly started that way. When I think back to when I first started feeding my dogs raw food, there were only two people who I knew at the time who were feeding raw. One of them was, I thought she was like cuckoo. Mm-hmm. And the other one, I couldn't understand what she was doing, like what she actually fed her dogs. I was very puzzled by this. Mm-hmm. But when I started anyway, I don't even know, I don't remember now, why I was compelled to do it. It really hurt me when my first dog died at 11, like the first dog I had as an adult, who was really my heart dog. I used to joke with my vet school classmates that I was not going to marry a man. I was just going to marry my dog, Bruiser. And my classmates used to say to me, you already have. And so, I wanted him to live forever. And then when he didn't, that really, killed off a part of my soul. So then I was on a mission to help my other dogs be healthier, live longer. And I was terrified when I started feeding them raw food. Mm-hmm. I fed them half raw and half kibble at every meal for 6 months. Mm-hmm. I truly had fear in my heart. I was wondering if I was going to kill them inadvertently. Mm-hmm. I wondered if they would die as a result of what I was doing. Mm-hmm. It was really, very high anxiety time in my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I had much a similar situation, not necessarily with raw food, but I had the first dog that she had a reoccurring problem, and the vet was not helping me, and I kept getting the same problem but worse with my dog. And the dog that I had before this had tragically died from a tumor by her liver, very, very suddenly. And so I already had a tremendous amount. I had that part of myself break when I lost that dog. And then I got this other dog that was my dream dog, and she was having problems. And there was just a switch that flipped in me. You can't explain it, right? There's a switch that flipped in me, and I just thought I have to do things differently. And that was when I brought my dog to you, and I was very anxiety riddled at the time. I knew I didn't want to keep doing what I was doing, but I was afraid to do anything else, because then that meant I was a bad dog owner because I wasn't doing the things that I was taught to do. But just kind of one step at a time into the more holistic practices I took, and the more I did, the more encouraged I was. By seeing them work. I watched my dog transform in a matter of a couple of weeks just by switching her food. And then, over the course of about 6 months with your help, the problem cleared up that I was struggling with her, and it never came back. So I think what we really want to we're really on a mission now to help others that are starting from that place, because most, if not all of us, start from the place where we're very, very afraid, and it's because we care so much about our dogs. But we don't want people to live in fear. That's not a healthy place for you to live. It doesn't do your dog any favors. And so we're really on a mission now, not only to spread how to do things more naturally, but also to embrace people where they are on their journey, because we're living in such a place of fear. And so I think just as a place to start, we want to just challenge you with a question, which is, when it comes to doing something for your dog, what is the motivation from that decision? And just really being honest with yourself. why is it that you're doing what you're doing? So for example, if you see a conventional vet, every year you get a postcard in the mail. It's time for you to go in for their vaccinations and their well check. And you get that postcard and you go to the vet. Why? Is your dog not healthy? Do you feel like if you don't do X, Y, Z, they're going to get sick and die?
Or does it make you a bad person
Or
if you
does
don't
it make
do
you
it?
a bad dog owner? Is your vet going to look down on you because you didn't do the thing that you were supposed to do? Right? If you're pouring kibble from a bag into a dog bowl and you're not doing fresh food, are you doing that because you're afraid you're going to do it wrong and you're going to kill your dog? So you just have to do what's in the bag because nobody can feed your dog as good as the kibble people tell you that they can, right? And so even if you make more natural choices, like what we teach here, maybe you do feed raw. You know, are there times where, you know, you're looking at a bag of treats and you won't even feed your dog a treat if it has one iota of something in the ingredients that's maybe not organic, whole food, single source?
Right.
Then you're still living in a place of fear, right?
Or sometimes when people are feeding raw, but then you read something online or you hear something in a podcast and somebody's saying, well, you really should be doing this. And then it's like your heart drops and you're like, oh my gosh, but I'm not doing that.
Constantly
or
afraid you're
should
doing
I
it
be
wrong.
doing that? Yeah. And so what we want is for people to just, you know, find that place of confidence. Like maybe we went through the fear so you don't have to. I mean, it's ridiculous in retrospect how long I dragged out the transition and how long it took me to finally get rid of the kibble. And then after that, and after those dogs survived and nothing bad happened to them, then changes came a lot more easily. So sometimes kind of taking that first step and doing the thing of feeling the fear and doing it anyway, it kind of frees you up. And then, you know, then when you're able to reflect and to say, was that all some sort of marketing, brainwashing kind of, then you're able to look at your past and say like, oh gosh, why was I doing those things? So sometimes it's about feeling your intuition, trusting your intuition. And I think that's something that is worth paying attention to.
It's important to realize that a lot of what is done just in the methodology of Western medicine or conventional practice comes from a place of fear. It is very reactive. And with that fear comes pressure. You get very, very pressured by some of the professionals that have that ideology and that approach. And it can be a lot of people cave to pressure.
Oh, sure.
And they'll even suppress and suffocate their intuition because of pressure. And I cannot tell you how many times Dr. Levy and I have heard stories from people that did that and they regretted it immediately. Their dog had a horrible reaction to a medication or a vaccine or something like that. They end up in the ER, they lose their dog, whatever it is. And they're like, there was something in me, I shouldn't have done it. But they ignored it or they pushed it down because in the moment, they're in the room, you have somebody who went to school and you didn't, telling you X, Y, Z and pressuring you. I think we've all felt that to a degree. And so it's important to realize that that's very real. And sometimes we need to find some courage in our backbone in those moments. And also realize, especially in the veterinary world, in the animal world, there is an entire anti-holistic agenda that is being taught to have just absolute disdain for anything that is not conventional.
Right, and this happens in vet school. So I remember that we had one lecture about holistic medicine, but I don't remember anything about it. But I talked to a veterinarian who graduated much more recently than I did, and they were actively warned, cautioned, like the fear of God was put into them. Don't practice alternative medicine. Don't practice holistic medicine. You'll be shamed. You'll be excommunicated. Your colleagues won't speak to you anymore. You won't have any authority. You won't know what you're talking about. You'll harm your patients and maybe kill them. And that is what they were told. They were really kind of scared away from it. But you think, like, see how those things work together. So they'll sell us things on the basis of fear. They'll control our thoughts on the basis of fear. And the reason they do that is because it works. Fear sells. Fear is kind of that easy go-to.
And so how can you know, if you've asked yourself a couple of questions and really looked at what your motivation is behind the choices for your animal, and you've determined, okay, maybe I am living in a state of fear, because I didn't realize how fearful I was. And I think a lot of people don't. You're just doing what you think is the good thing to do, and you want to be a good dog parent, so you do the things, not realizing that so much of what is behind that is pressure and fear, and that that's why you are doing what you're doing. And so if you've answered those questions to yourself honestly, and you really find yourself in that place, how can you get out of that place is the question. How can you start learning to strengthen that muscle of your intuition that has been maybe pushed down and suffocated by some of these other things? And really, one of the best first things you can do is find other good, like-minded people that are entertaining these practices, that are educating, that are empowering people with these practices. Surround yourself with those people. We kind of have an advantage to a degree in this day and age that we have the internet and that we have online communities. It can be damaging, it can be helpful, depends on the community, right? But there are tremendous voices out there that have really good things to say and really good things to teach about how to do things this way, that will be very encouraging to you as you're trying to navigate that kind of fragile place and come out of a place of fear. So surrounding yourself with like minds, we'll put some in the description box below, some colleagues of ours, some people that we really align with their kind of approach to things. And then really the next big thing is to educate yourself, because knowledge is power.
And we've seen those things online where there was one thing on Instagram where somebody was saying, you know, you should feed your dog a raw diet, like you're a bad person if you don't. But first you need to do a ton of research. Well, I don't know about you, but nobody has time to do a ton of research, which would make you not get started at all. So that's why we try to provide really succinct and useful information. You don't need to do a ton of research. Everything is easier than you think. I've also had my pets at the emergency hospitals and have been pressured to do this now, leave him here another night, do the thing, have the surgery. In those situations, I think sometimes, and I've recommended to people sometimes, you can always ask, is this a decision that I need to make right now? Because everything is kind of presented with urgency and, you know, again, like pressure, like you were talking about. And so not everything is an immediate decision that needs to be made.
I will also say that, you know, we're all pet owners. You know, yes, Dr. Levy is a vet. Yes, I'm, you know, a nutritionist, I'm a breeder, and I'm somewhat of a professional that way. But even we, in moments that are heightened emotionally because our pets are suffering something, we have a crisis moment, we end up in an ER, we have to go to an urgent care, we have to have people that we can reach out to in the moment, because even people that know as much as we know, when you're in the middle of it, it can be a lot and you can't think very clearly. And so you can reach out to your trusted friend who has a like mind, and you can be like, okay, this is what's happening. I'm not even sure what to do right now. And because they're outside of the situation, they can say X, Y, Z. This is what I would do. Remember, blah, blah, blah. And it brings you down emotionally in the moment, gives you a little bit of clarity. So have those support people. And again, we're very blessed in this day and age, whether it's via text to somebody who's thousands of miles away, or you have an online community that you can ask questions to, whatever that is, have your people that are supportive around you, that align with your belief system, that you can reach out to in those really hard moments. So those are just a few ideas to kind of help bridge the gap between living in a state of fear and coming over to a place that's less fearful, less anxiety riddled. It really should be that way. So if you've come over to the holistic space and you still have a lot of anxiety and fear, there's definitely something there. We would encourage you to examine that. You're not going to do yourself any favors. You're not going to do your animal any favors. Our cortisol level affects their cortisol level.
Yes,
and
for sure.
it also certainly affects our decision making. And so we don't want to go, living in fear and bondage to one thing to just live in fear and bondage to another thing. We want to be free from all of that. So that's why we kind of titled this video From Fear to Freedom, because we want people to be free in their choices with their animals and not walk around with so much pressure, fear, guilt, shame.
Right. Yeah, basically, you want to be able to make decisions that you can feel good about and not constantly second guess yourself.
So just realize that when you step out of fear, that's when the real healing can begin.